Everyone seems to have an opinion about Bilt 2.0. If you spend even a few minutes scrolling through Reddit threads, YouTube comments, or finance Twitter, you'll notice the same pattern repeating over and over again. Some people are clearly frustrated with the changes. Some people try to justify them. And a lot of people seem unsure whether the card still makes sense at all. Honestly, I haven't seen many people who genuinely love the new version. What I see far more often is confusion. People trying to figure out whether they're missing something or whether the value they thought they had is quietly disappearing. So instead of adding another opinion to the pile, I wanted to take a different approach. Rather than argue about whether Bilt 2.0 is good or bad, I decided to do something much simpler. I sat down and ran the numbers, carefully, step by step, assuming the card is used exactly the way it's designed to be used. No mistakes, no missed redemptions, no worst-case scenarios, just the math. Before we get into the numbers, it's important to clearly understand how Bilt 2.0 works, because this is where most of the confusion starts. With the original Bilt card, the system was straightforward. You paid rent and you earned points. There was no extra step involved. Rent itself triggered the rewards. With Bilt 2.0, that is no longer the case. Now, rent does not automatically earn points. Instead, the system is built around something called Bilt Cash. You earn Bilt Cash by using the card for everyday purchases, and then you redeem that Bilt Cash to unlock points on your rent or mortgage payment. In practical terms, this means rent is no longer the starting point of the reward system. It's the final step. The key number to understand is this. Roughly $30 in Bilt Cash is required to unlock points on $1,000 of rent. That ratio is what determines how much you need to spend every month for the card to work the way most people expect it to. Once you understand that, the rest becomes much clearer. Let's start with a very common example. Assume your rent is $2,000 per month. To earn points on that full $2,000, you need approximately $60 in Bilt Cash. Bilt Cash is earned at around 4% on everyday spending, which means you would need to spend about $1,500 on the card in that same month. So, every month you are required to put $1,500 of non-rent spending on the Bilt card just to unlock points on your rent. Over the course of a year, that adds up to $18,000 in card spending, in addition to $24,000 in rent. That is the baseline scenario, and it assumes you do everything correctly every single month. Now let's look at a situation that's even more common in high-cost cities. If you live in places like New York, Los Angeles, Boston, or Miami, a $3,000 rent payment is not unusual. In that case, the math scales up quickly. To earn points on $3,000 of rent, you need about $90 in Bilt Cash. At 4%, that requires roughly $2,250 in monthly card spending. That means every single month, you must spend over $2,000 on the Bilt card just to unlock rent rewards. Over a year, that's $27,000 in spending, on top of $36,000 in rent. And again, this assumes nothing goes wrong. No missed months. No forgotten redemptions. No changes in spending patterns. This is where the gap between theory and real life starts to show. Let's say your rent is $2,500, but in a given month you only spend $1,000 on the card. At 4%, that earns you $40 in Bilt Cash. That amount only unlocks points on about $1,300 of rent. The remaining $1,200 of your rent earns nothing. You didn't make a mistake. You didn't forget to activate anything. You simply didn't spend enough to unlock the rest. For many people, this is the reality month to month. This is also where it helps to pause and compare this system to what existed before. Previously, rent itself earned points automatically. There was no requirement to earn access to those rewards. There was no additional tracking, no secondary currency, and no need to plan spending around unlocking benefits. With Bilt 2.0, rent rewards are conditional. You must earn them indirectly, and you must do so consistently. That is a fundamental change in how the card works. Now, let's compare this to a very simple alternative. A flat 2% cashback card. If you spend $2,250 per month on a 2% card, you earn $45 back automatically. There's no unlocking mechanism, no separate rewards currency, and no dependency on rent. Over a year, that's $540 in cash back, with zero management required. With Bilt 2.0, you are putting in more effort, tracking more variables, and structuring your spending more carefully, all to unlock a benefit that used to be automatic. When you look at it this way, the opportunity cost becomes hard to ignore. To be fair, Bilt 2.0 is not useless for everyone. If you already spend between $1,500 and $2,500 per month on a single card, if your spending is consistent, and if you don't mind managing a more complex reward system, the card can still work. But that describes a relatively small group of people. For most users, especially those who liked Bilt because it rewarded rent effortlessly, the added friction changes the equation. So what does all of this mean? It doesn't mean Bilt 2.0 is a scam. It doesn't mean the card has no value at all. What it does mean is that when you slow down and run the actual numbers, many people are required to spend significantly more money and put in significantly more effort just to reach the same outcome they used to get automatically. For a lot of users, the math simply doesn't justify the complexity. In the next video, I'll walk through credit cards that offer simpler, more predictable value, especially for people who liked Bilt for what it used to be. Thanks for watching.